All right. Hello, everyone. This is another episode of Fire Breathing Rob. If you go to www.youtube.com/FIREBREATHINROB, you can watch all of our videos and listen to a lot of amazing people that have a lot of different stories to tell. So thank you for listening. Also, share, like, subscribe, and get these videos out, please. We have somebody that's a returning guest. Lorri Allison Craig, if you go to her website, LorriAllisonCraig.com. Now, what would you tell as far as millennials? Would you tell them to get in the stock market? Should they use some of that money to maybe get a Roth IRA or even getting a regular IRA? What would you tell millennials as far as that goes?
Okay, let's back up a little bit here.
Sure.
Before we get to the stock market, let's get to emergency reserves.
Right.
The most important thing for anybody to do is have those emergency reserves, because we are going to have, life's going to deal its stuff, and you need to be prepared. And this is just an example of a surprise. And you need to have at least 3 to 6 months reserve. It may end up from this COVID thing that even more would be good. But the rule of thumb is to have 3 to 6 months of your income needs saved in emergency reserves. I would suggest, money market, go to your credit union, find a high yield account. So that's number one. So after you've got that savings piece, that emergency reserves piece, and you're trying to decide, okay, now what do I do if I have some extra money? So number one is, if you work for a company that has a 401k, and if they have match, that match is like free money to you. So you want to claim that somehow. So if it's 3%, then you want to match that with your savings. You can't decimate your grocery budget in order to do it, but that's probably your number one thing that you want to do. Okay, within that 401k, they're structured differently for every company, but now 401ks are having a Roth component to it. And now all of this also has to do with your tax bracket. So we call IRAs, 401ks, Roth IRAs, those are all what's called qualified money. That means it's qualified by the IRS for special tax rules. And then we have something that's called non-qualified money. Your emergency reserves, for example, in the bank, that's non-qualified money. So as you go through your years of savings, you actually want to kind of balance your non-qualified money, your IRA or 401k money, and your Roth IRA. Is one of the things that I saw as people get older, they put actually too much into 401ks, and then they have a significant tax problem when they get to retirement. So that needs to be balanced. With your company, you want to have that 401k first, and then hopefully that Roth IRA, which by the time you turn 59 and a half is tax-free. So now you want to know, okay, well, where do I invest that? How do I invest that? What's going on with the stock market? So how you invest has a lot to do with what your risk tolerance is. So there's two I'm going to simplify this to two pieces of investing. One is in bonds and one is in equities or stocks, the stock market. Two different things. The more conservative you are or concerned about the ups and downs of the stock market, then you want to have more in bonds. And bonds don't grow like equities do. They don't have the volatility like equities. But it's also kind of your safety boat for investing. So what I recommend is, you have to look at your risk tolerance and how much volatility you can stand. But I recommend about 3 years worth of need to be in bonds. And then you can put the balance into equities. And I want to talk a little bit here about equities and what kind of companies to invest in. Historically, we have been what I describe as a balance sheet society. That's companies that only think about their profits, and they wring out their employees and to get, you know, the maximum amount of returns and profit for their company. There's something new that's been coming out, and it's called ESG, and that is investing in companies that also think about the environment. They also think about treating their employees fairly. They think about the governance of their companies. And I would urge people that are investing in equities to take a look at those kinds of indices. They're, you know, they just, companies that think about more things than just profits,
Right.
have a general direction of like doing just a little bit better than the companies that only think about profits.
So what would you tell people that, you know, aren't in the stock market, that can't play this game because they are young people that are in my age bracket, where they have a student loan crisis, where they owe so much money on student loans, or maybe on, you know, their car, and they are trying to be physically responsible, but, you know, they're making $8-9 an hour, and, you know, they're trying to get ahead in life with, you know, going to college, getting a master's degree, but they're still, you know, they don't have that financial means to, you know, pay it off right away.
Well, the ones that are finding themselves with those loans, and if they're having difficulties making the payments, especially with what's going on right now, first thing they ought to do is call those places and see if they can negotiate the interest rate down, put some payments at the end of the period. Let's say it's a 5-year loan. Ask the companies if they can put the, you know, extend it like 3 more months and put those payments at the end. Right now, it's all about survival and negotiating every place and simplifying. And I understand these, you know, your friends are probably already, you know, cinching their belts pretty tight to get through it. And it's going to be tough, but negotiating and being pleasant about the negotiating is the biggest thing to do right now.
Let me ask you this. We talked about, you know, and you spoke about negotiating with credit card companies and loan companies. So do we really think that they're going to help out even in a time of need such as the corona crisis? Do we think that they're going to really do that? Have you heard anything about this?
Well, let me tell you about my experience during 2008 and 9, because I went through this. I had a couple of homes. You know, things were just booming for us, and, you know, I was kind of in the same situation. And I called up all of these companies and negotiated and negotiated and negotiated. Some were awesome and some were horrible. And the ones that were horrible, I will never do business with them again. And in the negotiations, if you're not getting any place, ask for a supervisor. Just keep ratcheting up, going as high as you can to negotiate. And then if you can't, well, I'm going to talk a little bit about the modifications on home loans. I swear that these banks put a trash compactor below the fax machine so that that paperwork never went anyplace. But finally, enough people, you know, file legitimate lawsuits against the banks, and they did start to do modifications, and they were forced to legitimacy. And it's not going to be a pretty picture, but everyone's got to push.
We spoke about this last time you on. You know, people aren't working. People may even, you know, when this crisis ends, there might be cutbacks on big corporations because, they lost all this, money because, people weren't shopping. A lot of jobs going on, stores rather going out of business. With that, knowing that, do you see a lot of people losing their houses? A lot of people, homeless because of this crisis?
I think a lot of people will lose their homes eventually. I've been sitting on anything that I can glean as what might happen in the future. And I see several different scenarios. One scenario, it looks like, first of all, people have been, self-quarantining, not going out. And if they just open it up and everybody races out into the public again, we're going to go into another situation because this corona is so contagious. I've been watching the medical reports. I used to be a medical researcher, and I understand about cell biology and immunology and all of that. And this virus is acting so differently than other viruses. But it also looks like maybe they're coming up with alternative ways of treating it. If that is successful and people can get the shot or whatever, then we'll be able to return to normal more quickly. If not, that means that we're going to have what we're going through kind of echo. We'll have, I want to say, echo bumps.
Right.
And people are going to be kind of uncomfortable and cautious about spending money or going out. And so this could really extend for a long time as a recession.
Yeah. If a lot of people do lose their homes, do we see the housing market just take a dive again and houses going back down? We saw in different parts of the country, there was, houses were selling for, 120, 130, 40,000. Do you see that again with, if this crisis gets, keeps it up?
Yes. We've already seen people reducing the prices of their homes that they've had on sale. We're seeing more people put their vacation rental homes on the market. It's looking very similar to that 2008 and 9 as far as the real estate market. I do think that we're going to have a dip here in the real estate market.
Well, Lorri Allison Craig, LorriAllisonCraig.com. Last time we spoke, you said your son was working in Denver at a hospital. What have you heard from him as an update of what's going on at that hospital? Is it really overrun right now? And how is the cleanliness going on there? Is there a lot of masks? How is all that going for him?
Well, so far they have the PPE, the protective gear. The protocols are changing. So the latest protocol to intubate a patient that has COVID, that means putting them on the ventilators. They're having to cover themselves with a plastic sheet and intubate them underneath this plastic sheet. So they're coming out with new protocols all the time as they learn more about this virus and how it works. They're just doing everything they can for the virus not to get airborne. But the protocols are changing all the time, and he's just constantly studying to keep up with it. And the numbers, maybe you would intubate somebody once a week or once every 2 weeks or something, and instead it's more like 5 to 7 a shift. It's challenging out there.
That, it's possible to change, but we know that. But Lorri, thanks so much for coming on. Lorri Allison Craig, LorriAllisonCraig.com. And Lorri, any last words for the viewers before we let you go?
Well, I would just suggest going to my website because I have all kinds of worksheets on there for creating a budget, a financial organizer. There are all kinds of great tools. And while we're self-quarantined right now, this is a great time to be looking at how you're going to survive and then what the future is going to look like and prep for it.
Agreed. And everybody stay safe. LorriAllisonCraig.com. Please go and visit the website. And Lorri, thanks so much for coming on the program. Greatly appreciate it again.
Rob, thank you so much. Stay safe and well.
Stay safe.